developed. Richardson, I think, can be what they thought Sharif Floyd could be. And so I don't think they're going to be able to keep both of them long term. So which would you rather have? I'm not really sure. In my mind, it may come down to who has a better season this year. And then if that happens to be Sheldon Richardson, I don't exactly know which position is easier to replace. A really good three technique defensive lineman or a really good outside linebacker who offers you versatility in different areas of the game. I don't know how to answer that one. I would wait and just see what happens with this season, and whichever one has the better season and looks like they fit long term, that's the guy you go after.
You asked a very provocative question when we were talking earlier. It regards the Packers, and let's explore that after we thank Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill, Twill on Instagram, which is a great place to see all their stuff. I bought the Peter Millar stuff. I bought the Johnny O stuff. I bought underwear there. I bought socks there. I bought a belt there. I bought hats there. So you know them for their high-end custom suits. They're nice shoes. If you've been by the shop, you know how relaxed it is. They have a game on in the back. It's not high pressure. You get to just browse, and you'll be left alone unless you don't want to be left alone. But this time of the year, great place, just a great place to buy comfortable stuff, summer stuff, golf stuff.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
So, Tim, as you phrased it, are the Vikings getting closer to being the Packers with less depth?
Yeah, the Packers, when you've compared Vikings and Packers over the last several years, you kind of phrased it in this way. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers, and if he gets hurt, they're not a playoff team. And we saw that last year. The reason that is because, Rodgers takes up quite a bit of their salary cap and probably will take up more of their salary cap if they can ever get him signed to an extension that they've supposedly been working on and off on for the last year. But now the Vikings, because of all of these signings that they've done, this offseason, the previous offseason, all of a sudden their salary cap is getting to be more similar to what the Packers have, where I think it was before the Stephon Diggs signing, I think it was the Vikings had 8 players that were scheduled to count $8 million or more against their salary cap this year. I think Stephon Diggs makes it 9. Next year could be 10 or 11 that are going to count $10 million or more against their salary cap. And so now all of a sudden you have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 110 or 130 million of your salary cap tied up in less than half your starters. And so if a couple of those guys get hurt, the depth behind there, because they can't afford, the guys that have experience starting in the league and competing against other teams in free agency for those guys, the depth is going to fall off for the Vikings, at least as far as experience depth and what we know. They may have some guys in the wings that are talented but haven't really gotten a chance to show it yet and don't have the experience and therefore are going to be a little bit harder to trust. So I see sort of a salary cap situation where you have a lot of high-end starters, or maybe 10 high-end starters getting paid very, very well. And then after that, you don't have a lot of high-end depth. You don't have a lot of guys that you know much about. You're basically dealing with either very much journeyman free agents that you've been able to sign at a reasonable price, or guys that are still in their rookie contracts and, those first 3 to 4 years of their contract where they don't eat up a lot of money. And even if those guys do prove themselves, once those rookie contracts are up, it's going to be hard to keep them. So the Vikings have kind of created this roster that's 10, 11, 12 high-end guys, and the rest of them, they're going to have to fill in the holes a little bit more like the Packers, where they've got Aaron Rodgers and a few other guys, a handful of guys in their case, that are at that 10 million or more per year range. And those guys better pan out, for the Vikings. So far they have, and I think they will continue to do that because the Vikings have done a good job of trying to get guys that are either in their prime right now or haven't quite entered their prime and signing them for the next 5 years and letting them become superstars where they don't maybe have to pay top end dollar, but they're still paying a very, very good price for them.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, if Anthony Barr hits him exactly the same way as he did last year, this year, it's going to be a penalty. What do you think of that?
That's what Pete Morelli says, and Pete Morelli and his officiating crew were in town Thursday through Saturday this week. They met with the media. Morelli was asked specifically about the Barr hit, and he did say this year that will be a penalty. He didn't do a terrific job of explaining why, and so it left some gray area for me. At one point, he talked about, hitting Barr within the 2 steps that a defender is granted after the ball has left the quarterback's hand. And when you go and you look at the rule, it says 1 step. I mean, I don't know that 1 step is reasonable to expect out of a guy. I don't know how you pull up that quickly when you're not sure if the quarterback is throwing the ball or not. The other thing that he talked about, though, was, and the new wording of this rule is a quarterback outside the pocket who's released the ball. You cannot go and put full weight on that quarterback, or it says full or most of your weight even. So once again, we're dealing with a gray area here with Barr's hit. Although Morelli says it would be penalized, I'm still not sure, and going back looking at the film, that you can say he placed full weight. He definitely had a shoulder into Aaron Rodgers' shoulder. I just don't know how you measure full weight of a person or most of the weight. To me, when you go back and you look at that film and you break it down in slow motion, I almost feel like Rodgers' collarbone was broken because of the way he braced his fall. He put his right hand down on the ground, right elbow on the ground, and I think the shock of hitting the ground with that and trying to brace with your elbow ended up breaking the collarbone, because when he gets up, it's the right side, it's his right arm that he's holding, indicating the right side of the collarbone was hurt, whereas Barr hit him in the left side and the left shoulder. So all of this gets back to, we are living in an instant replay, slow motion, high definition reviewing era of the NFL, and the referees don't always have that luxury of slowing things down and looking at before they throw the flag. So I don't know how exactly this one's going to be officiated. I also think that the new helmet rule is going to be a complete mess in trying to figure out who initiated contact with their helmet, who didn't, or the crown of their helmet, or who got their head up just on time so it was a face mask instead of the crown of the helmet. I think this is going to be a mess this year.
I am all for the efforts to protect players. I think that NFL players are capable of playing the game without lowering their heads and leaving the crown of their helmet. I think it's bad when they do. They hurt people. I don't like to see Aaron Rodgers hurt. I don't like to see any great quarterback hurt. To me, that's the joy of watching the NFL, is watching great quarterbacks operate. But you're right. How you word the rules, how they are interpreted, how they are called in live action, how they are re-litigated, whether, during the week trying to figure out who to be fined or on replay. It's just it's too hard. You almost need the players to themselves say, you know what, I'm not going to lower my head anymore. I'm not going to try to injure my union brothers. I'm just going to try to tackle people and bring them to the ground. But I don't think it's going to happen. That's Pollyanna. It's not actually going to happen. And on that regard, I think we need to talk about Andrews and Dae Ho. But first, let me tell you about SeatGeek. This is the app you should be using when you want to buy tickets of any kind. My listeners get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Type in promo code Vikings today. That's Vikings for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. If you don't know about SeatGeek, whether headed to a baseball game, a concert, or just anxiously awaiting football season, SeatGeek has you covered. It's the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event, whether you're searching for a last-minute deal, planning a night out, or need to find the perfect gift. SeatGeek helps you find the best seats, the best prices, fully guaranteed. There's nothing quite like being there in person, and SeatGeek will get you closer to the action at a great value. SeatGeek is designed to make your ticket buying experience easier than ever. But they search multiple ticket sites and grade every ticket based on value. SeatGeek helps you immediately identify the best seats that fit your budget. Every purchase is fully guaranteed, so you can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone. It's by far the easiest way I found to shop for tickets. I actually just used SeatGeek to buy some tickets to a Springsteen concert that I'm really fired up about going to with my wife. So again, use SeatGeek. The first time you use it, you get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Type in the promo code Vikings. And, as I always tell you with our business, we are able to do these shows, run this network because of sponsors like SeatGeek. So support the sponsors to support us. Andrew Dae Ho is wearing a hat that he probably thinks is funny. I'm not sure it is.
No, I don't think it is either. And it's to me, it's just realizing the environment that you're in, that the NFL is in right now, the era that they're in, which is trying to make the game safer, trying to get, as we just got done talking about, not lowering the head. And when Sandeo was wearing a cap at practice that says "Make football violent again," and he's posting on social media what he apparently thinks is funny, that he rigged up his helmet so it not only has the face mask in the front, but it's got an additional face mask on the top of the helmet. So he says he can lead with his face mask and make it easy for the NFL to see that he did that. I really feel like Sendejo is putting a target on himself by the NFL. This is a guy that took out Mike Wallace with a very violent hit last year against the Ravens, and has been known as a guy that just takes shots at people, and in fact, I think also takes shots at people sometimes unnecessarily in practice. So, in this era where the NFL is all about trying to protect their players, or at least give the appearance that they're doing that, and you have a guy that says, the new helmet rule, how's it going to work? And he says poorly, and basically doesn't think he needs to change anything. I would be surprised if Sendejo doesn't end up with a game or more suspensions this season if he doesn't change the way he plays. He just seems to be unwilling to accept trying to change the game and make it safer for, as you said, his fellow union players. I don't like the look that this sends. It kind of sends a stubborn approach to the game in an era where you're trying to eliminate head injuries and long-term cognitive effects on NFL players. I get the fan approach that football isn't the same game as it was in the 80s, but if any of those fans spend some time around the alumni who played in the 70s and 80s and see the condition that they're in, you gotta feel a little bit of a human sympathy for some of the things they're dealing with in their later years.
No question about it. And you know what? I remember talking to Harrison Smith when he was a rookie, and I asked him about leading with the head and these violent hits and really trying to damage people. And he just kind of shrugged and was like, that's what I do. And if I hurt myself doing it, that's the price you pay to play this game. And he's still a great hitter, and he's a great player, but he really isn't that guy anymore. He isn't the guy who's just going to go in and head down and try to, blow somebody up just for the sake of doing it and possibly hurting himself or his own team or getting a penalty or whatever. And it sounds like Harrison Smith has been talking with another great safety who played kind of a classy style, Darren Woodson.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Darren Woodson was in town last week to